Thanks, Dan. Hello and welcome to Food History Weekend 2023. I'm Paula Johnson, the curator of food history and the director of the Food History Project here at the National Museum of American History. We're so delighted to be here with you in person and online to explore the topic of food, climate, and community, how women are shaping the future of food. The confluence of food, climate, and community is one that really begs for our attention. We may not realize the impacts that environmental changes have already made on how, when, where, and by whom food can be produced and distributed. As extreme weather events, long-term droughts, rising sea levels, and destructive floods become more frequent and widespread, it's important that we do attend to these changes, as well as recognize that on various levels, local and global, individuals and communities have been responding in diverse ways. So today and tomorrow, we'll be meeting with women from all around the country who are working in ways that they can and know how to do to help ensure food and health in the midst of climate change. So before we dive in, I want to acknowledge with deep gratitude that this program received federal support from the Smithsonian American Women's History Initiative Pool, which is administered by the Smithsonian American Women's History Museum, which is one of the new museums that is coming online, and we're very excited about that and very grateful for their support of this program. And now, I would like to turn things over to my colleague, Dr. Ashley Rose Young, who's the historian of the American Food History Project, who will host our first program, and which is Cooking Up History with, yes, Chef Sallie Ann Robinson. Take it away.
Thank you. Amazing. Can y'all hear me? Oh, fantastic. Hi, a beer. My name is Ashley Rose Young. I'm the host for today's program, and before we get started into this fantastic discussion and cooking demonstration, I have a few housekeeping notes to go over, and then we'll get started. So I want to thank you all for joining us on our 9th annual Smithsonian Food History Weekend. We are so thrilled to be kicking off our programming today with Chef Sallie Ann Robinson. Can we get another round of applause for this amazing woman all the way from Daufuskie Island, South Carolina? Sallie is a chef and culinary historian. She is a 6th generation family member, Gullah community member from Daufuskie Island, and her life's work has really been to share the culture, the language, the culinary traditions of the Gullah community, specifically on Daufuskie, and her work has been mentioned in every publication. I mean, you name it, from Bon Appetit to National Geographic. So many writers have featured your life and your life's work. We are so privileged to have you here today.
Thank you.
And she is the author of many, many books, a few of which are on display right here. And I'd like to note that we will have a book signing after this Cooking Up History program for Cooking the Gullah Way and Gullah Home Cooking. So when things wrap up in about an hour's time, if you head to your left, we do have books for sale, and you'll be able to meet our wonderful guest chef.
Yes.
So, but that's not for another hour, so don't worry about that at the moment. I know it's 2 o'clock, and some of you might still be hungry. If you haven't had lunch yet, I would like to point out that our wonderful museum cafe downstairs is actually selling all the Cooking Up History recipes that we're featuring throughout the weekend. So if you're hungry, please feel free to head downstairs to the lower level where you can purchase the amazing recipes that we're going to be making shortly. And if you are a social media maven, and I think I see some of you out there in the audience, we're asking you to please tag the museum in your posts at AM History Museum, and our hashtags for the weekend are Smithsonian Food and Smithsonian Women's History. So share photos, share video, tag us on social media. We'd love to keep the conversation going online as well as in person.
Yes.
Now, throughout the program, we're going to be taking questions. We want audience participation. So if you have a question for our guest chef, please raise your hand and one of our fabulous staff members will bring you a microphone. And do wait for that microphone because we're live streaming this event and we want our online audiences to be able to hear what you're asking. We want everyone to be part of the conversation. And last but not least, all of our Cooking Up History programs are made possible by support from Dr. Stephanie Bennett-Smith with additional support from Wegmans Food Markets. And we are so grateful to their continuing support. And that enables us to come back to this beautiful cooking demo stage and to work with fantastic guest chefs like Sallie. So now that I've gone through the housekeeping remarks, let's get started. Let's have fun.
Yes.
You know, Chef Sallie, I want to know, what recipe are we actually going to be making today? What are we starting off with?
Today is one of my favorite. It's called shrimp and tater salad. Now, not ta-da, tater. So, and I also call it my meat and potato salad. You can actually eat this as a side. You can eat it by itself. Either way is very tasty, belly filling, and something you would definitely eat over and over again.
Amazing. And so
Yes.
this is a dish that really represents home to you. It
Home,
represents
yes.
Dofusky.
Yes, it does.
So for those who might not be familiar in the audience, where is Dofusky Island? Can you describe it to us? What's it like?
Okay, Dofusky is a small island between, if many of you might have heard of the famous Hilton Head Island, and Savannah, Georgia. And we're tucked right in the middle there, and you can only get there by boat. No cars, no train, no bus, by boat. So you have to arrange to get on the boat in order to get there.
So, and you grew up there. Six
I was
generations.
Born and raised there. Actually, my mom went to visit her mom on Dofusky to visit, and because she had asked the doctor, "Can I go? I'm going for a week to spend some time with my family." And he said, "Oh, you got plenty time." So she goes on a Friday. Monday, I'm here. So I was born there. My mom had 5 kids. I'm the middle child. I'm the most adventurous, curious of all. And being born in Dofusky just made my day.
Aw.
Yes.
And so speaking of your mom, this dish is named after her, right?
Yes,
Your
yeah.
mama's shrimp,
Shrimp
and tater salad.
Yes.
So as we get started, you know, what's our first step? Walk us
Okay.
through this.
This is really an easy recipe. And I say easy because I know I'm the chef and you're saying, well, I can't do that. But yes, you can. I tell everybody, yes, you can, basically because you don't stress before you get to it. Relax. You want to have fun. Never go in the kitchen mad. Food know when you're mad. Trust me. It is so true. So today, we used to grow potatoes. Potatoes was one of them. We have some beautiful shrimp here. We used to catch the shrimp as much as we want. And then we grew our vegetable. We grew our peppers, our onions, and so forth. And today, the 3 that's going in there is celery, red pepper, and green pepper. Now, let me say this. If you don't like red pepper or green pepper, I'm just removing that, you don't have to add it in there. It's what you like. Make this yours. They might be my recipe, but I say make it yours because everybody have difference of what they can and cannot eat today. So it's easy to know that it will still be great, but it's the way you like it and it fits your belly.
Amazing. And so you mentioned that you're growing is part of the
Yes.
tradition on Dofusky Island. And land and growing on the land is so important to the Gullah people.
Yes.
So for those who might not be familiar, can you tell us who are the Gullah people?
Okay. I grew up Gullah on Dofusky, basically. We lived off the land. It was all about hunting, growing, raising your food. When my mom say jump, I say hi. I did not question why. I was not allowed to. When we had to go out and do the field era, the time when we had to start getting the ground together, chopping the weed, plowing or hoeing the ground, getting it ready, the soil ready for the seed, my mom would make sure that we all had our chores. There were no one left out. No one got to sit in the house and say, well, I'll do work in the house while you work outside. She made sure everybody got out there. We was a part of everything we do. Even the boys, they weren't allowed to do outside work. Women do inside work. We had to do both. It was a combination. Pop always say, you got to learn every step of it, basically because you might meet a woman or man who may or may not cook. And if that happens, guess what? You're going to be hungry. My mom, my mom used to challenge my pop. My pop said, yeah, that's why you girls got to learn how to cook and clean so you can find a good man. My mom said, She said, you better learn how to cook and clean so you don't starve. Okay?
So there's an element here, I think, beneath the joking too, is that growing your own food gives you autonomy. It gives you power.
Yes, it does.
You get
Yes,
to,
it does.
you have control over what you're consuming,
Yes,
and
it
that's
does.
that is empowering. So
And you learn so much from the growing of these vegetables and stuff that you're going to consume later. I mean, you feel more connected to it, and you really has a pride for it because you're like, wow, I actually grew this. But it's time that you have to put into, yes, we got to put the time in, but the reward is so awesome. And that's the joy of growing as well as eating the food.
I love that. And so we're talking all about these great vegetables.
Yes.
And so I'm curious to know, how do we use them in this recipe? What are actually the first steps in making your mama's shrimp and tater salad?
Okay. Well, first, as I mentioned, we're going to start with potato. So I'm going to start by showing you. And I ask that if you can use a knife, you can use a peeler. It's really up to you. I'm a knife person in a nice way. So, what I will do, and I don't peel it thick. You peel it thin because you don't want to get rid of all the potato. If peeling with a peeler is better for you, then I suggest you do. So here I've peeled one.
You make
And
that
I'm
look
just-
so easy.
I'm just going to put these here.
All right.
I'm going to peel two because once I peel this, here I will have, I'm just going to let this get started slow because I don't want it hot. I just want it ready. So if you have a good knife and you peel,
Goes fast.
yes, it works in your favor.
And so when you were a little girl growing up on Dofusky, were these kind of the tasks that your mom would give you in the kitchen, or were,
Yes.
all hands on deck?
First, you had to go to the field and dig them.
Yep.
Then you bring them in the house. So once I've peeled them, I am just going to rinse them. Basically, once I rinse them, now I'm going to cut them up. Most people have their way of cutting potatoes the size of that they want it. For me, I am going to show you how I do it. What I do first is long ways. I'll take this, cut it, and here we have this time of year, sometimes we get potatoes with an inside rot in it. Well, you don't want to throw this away. Basically, you might not have any more. So what I will do, I'm just going to carve that out.
There you go.
Carve it out. It's still good. Carve it out. And that's the surprise you get when you don't know what's inside. So, just to make it easy, I'm just making sure I
Just
carve
going
it out
right in
enough.
there.
Yes.
No problem.
Still good and edible. So once I've done that, then I'll just kind of rinse it more because you've got that out. I'm going to cut this one. Let's see if there's a surprise in this one. Look, no surprise. Okay, so what I'm going to do, depend on your size, I'm going to, and as you can see my finger, I pretty much just bring it back a notch and cut it. This is not a bad size. You can make it small or larger. Just going to work with this. This might be a little big here. You kind of eyeball things that you want and how you want it cooked. Here I'm placing it into water, basically because when you peel potato and you leave it out, I'll just break this down. And there we go. Add it back to water so you don't get that coloring. brown, because that's what potato do. And here. Now, those I had in quarters. This is a half. So I'm going to do this into 3 pieces, because my size is going to pretty much come out the way I want it. There we go. There you see? And if some comes out just a little bigger, you can downsize it. You don't have to worry about it being all equal. That's not even possible. Okay? Because we go, oh, it's not the same size. It don't have to be. Once it goes in, it's not going to be the same size either. So,
I love this no stress attitude. It's like, we do not need extra stress in our kitchen. Do the best you can.
Keep it simple. Don't be stressing about how it should or should not be based on, oh, but the book says. Sometime you take the recipe, you make it yours. Because we all might have grew up in different areas. So here I have my potato. My water is cooking here. So once I've done that, I'm going to add it to the pot. And some of that starch gets out of there too, which is, there we go. Now, what I'm going to do, dry my hand off. I have a little salt here. Add a little salt. Now, because I'm like the way my mom used to cook, I season this water with the potato. That way the potato come out very flavorful. Okay? So I'll add some garlic.
And that's just garlic powder, right?
This is garlic powder. How much garlic do you want in it? As much as you like. That's how I feel about garlic. Then I'm going to do a little black pepper. This is a fancy pepper shaker here. Oh, a couple of notches. And my spoon. I'm just going to combine this. Let this cook. Now, whilst the potato's cooking, the one thing I'm not going to let it do is cook all the way. Purpose is, you can either do this recipe 2 ways. You can cook the shrimp, save the water, add the potato in it, or you can cook it together. Easy peasy. So, right here, oh, I'm sorry, I want to add a few pieces of thyme in this. And all of this is flavoring the water. I don't want the stem because I don't want the stem to add up in the salad. So I have a couple of little pieces here.
Great.
Now, the biggest part we're going to do is deveining and peeling the shrimp. Whilst this is preparing, we want to go ahead and prep this. Prepping is so important to have things ready. That way you're not pushing time and you're not overstressing. Oh, that's not right. Oh, I got to do this. You don't want to do that. Make it fun. It has to be fun. So, young lady, I'm going to give you a fork.
I'm ready.
This is our day-to-day fork. I know you go out there and get the fancy gadget. Trust me, this does it all. It does. So, I shall give you one.
Thank you.
I shall take one. Now, the idea of deveining and peeling the shrimp at once is you take your fork, you face it away from you. There's a little vein in there. Just put it in.
Okay.
Once I have it, then I will pull it out, pinch, and it's a deveined shrimp peeled.
Did I do it? I did not do it successfully this time.
Okay.
I have to try again. I have to try again.
So you have a deveined
Wait, I
peeled
need
shrimp.
to try again.
Yes, we can try again.
That was an
Here.
utter.
And
Utter
she's
fail.
still
Let me try
learning.
again.
She's doing this for her first time, so it's great. Just keep it above. Don't push it down. You follow the little track.
Okay.
There you go.
Keeping it straight.
There you go.
Okay.
And then push the fork against the. There you go. Pull it out. Pinch.
Did it work this time? Almost. It's
Yes.
almost there. I practiced this earlier and I did not have this issue. I have stage fright, I think, but we're getting it. Let me try one more time because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm. The perfectionist in me feels like I'm really failing here. Okay, so I'm going in.
Just keep it up. Keep the
Keep
fork.
it up.
Yeah.
I'm
There
keeping
you
it
go.
straight.
Yeah, push.
Okay, is it
You-
far enough in?
perfect.
And then I'm holding here and I'm just pushing
Push. There you go.
together.
Right to the end. Now take the fork out.
Okay.
Pinch. Look at there.
Thank God. You too
Easy.
can do this.
Yes, you can. Because on the island, we didn't have grocery stores. We didn't even have convenience stores, which we have a couple of them now. But we used what we had to make do with what we were going to do. So it wasn't about, oh, I can't have shrimp because I can't peel it that way. Well, some people will totally take a shrimp. This is the long process. Da-di-da-di-da. Taking it off. Then you got to find the knife, and then you got to do this. See, I would have already done about 3 or 4 of those by the time I do the one here. So,
So tell us,
And
when
that's
you get
everything.
shrimp, you get it from through your local fisherman connections, and you're not ordering like a pound
No.
of shrimp.
No.
Like, walk us through the process of how do you get shrimp for home? Who are you contacting?
well, I have a couple of friends. I have a couple of folks that my son, he knows friend, they're shrimpers. So normally when I want to get shrimp, I don't buy a pound or 2 because I have a 6-foot freezer at home. I will say I need 60, 50, 60, 70 pounds of shrimp. They'll bring it to me in a cooler. And when I get it, the heads are on them. So my first job is to dehead. And then I will put them in Ziploc freezer bags. I'll separate them and depend on how much you're going to use at a time, whether it's a quart, whether it's a gallon, depend on your cooking preference or what you do. And then I will put a little water in the bag, close it, stick it in the freezer. Now, if I want to make my job of it coming to, let's say I want some for cooking. Well, couple days before, I'll take the shrimp out, I'll throw them out, and then I do this process. I have it ready, set aside for whatever I'm making. So here, this potato is boiling, and I'm just truly checking this right now. One of the things that I do, as I mentioned, I'm having the potato cook. I always check my potato as it's cooking because I don't want it to get mushy. And because I have to add the shrimp. Now, what I'm going to do is find out if the fork go through it. And it does, but it's still a little hard. So I want it just a tad cook, because why I'm doing that, I don't want the shrimp to cook in it too long. But I want it to go in here to add the flavor. And that's what. So these are bigger shrimp than what I would usually use for this dish here. So when they're bigger, let's say you can't find smaller shrimp. Oh, I need some small shrimp. There you go, small shrimp. Yellow. Okay. Never say you can't because you don't have. Make do with what you have, and pretty much you'll come out feeling just as good. So I'm just going to cut these here.
And as we wait for the potato to keep
Yes.
boiling a little bit more, I was hoping you could speak to us about, using a cast net, right? To
Yes.
go shrimping, and what it was like when you were a little girl on Dofusky. Can you talk about where people got their shrimp when they were just going out, rather than going to a commercial fishery?
Yes.
How did they do it on Dofusky?
Well, Pop was a net maker. My Pop was a net maker. So he made these cast net. And another thing he always say, I need to teach all these skills because one day you're not going to be with us. Or you're going to be on your own. One of their favorite things, well, we're not going to be here always. And one of my questions was, where you going? Okay. Well, Pop make these cast nets. So he showed us not only to make the net, but how to throw the net. So you got out, we would go on the dock, we would go in creeks to go get some shrimp. Because sometime maybe the shrimp person that we get isn't showing up or didn't catch much. So we would truly end up going to catch our own. Sometime for a meal, sometime for a couple of meals, sometime just to share with the community. Because that's how we did. We shared a lot of what we grew, raised, whatever caught, or even hunt.
And so you don't have to go out into the ocean to get shrimps?
No.
They're right there.
Around the creek. So the potatoes right now is about the size. So what I'm going to do is add the shrimp. Everything is seasoned. Here, we're just going to put this away. So while this is taking a few minutes, I want to go ahead and put this. Prep peppers. If you don't like red pepper, I have friends who can't eat red pepper but can eat green. But like I say, you can always add both. All of it has its own little unique flavor. What I'm doing here, now my mom used to like hers bigger because she liked the crunchiness. I like it small for just to add the flavor. I'm just going to take this, and I'm just going to share with you. And here I'm going to do is start chopping. How big or small you want it is the preference you will have. There we go. That size right there.
Perfect.
And then I'm going to do the greens. Sometimes you just cut these little notches up. You don't have to throw them away. You can actually use it. I'm just using just a certain amount now so that I can use it for the amount of salad or whatever I'm working with. Chopping. And I know you don't have to be fancy to do this. Take your time. Knives are sharp. Be careful. Don't say, but she did it like this. I have to do it for safety reason when handling a knife. Please know that is so important. I've had a lot of practice. I've nipped myself a few times and say, stay away from the finger. So that's, and you get your knife to help work this, okay? Always get it and work it. Small enough. That's that. I'm just going to do a piece of this. Some celery. If you don't like celery, you don't have to add it. Just so you know.
What are some substitute vegetables, that you could swap in or swap out? Anything, or do you have some recommendations?
I prefer you leave it out, but if you feel there's something that you think will work with it, you can. I pretty much stick to mom recipe.
I mean, fair. She knew what she was doing, so.
Yes. So, again, here we go. Now we have those. And it's about time we have a strainer. Or we can.
Kathy's going to grab us a strainer really quickly.
Okay.
Ooh, that smells so
You can smell
good.
the shrimp and potato. The shrimp has seasoned the potato and the water. Thank you, sweetie. All right. And I'm going to cut this off. Here. So, thank you. Smell the aroma.
And this is our wonderful kitchen manager, Kathy Fung, who is the mastermind behind all of our cooking demo prep. So thank you, Kathy, for helping us get everything set today.
Awesome. Now, one thing I didn't share, whilst this is happening, boil your eggs. Now, if you don't like eggs or you don't want it in it, you really don't have to. Eggs just bring it together in a way that connects the flavor one from the other. So, mind you, if it's hot, let's say you need to have it in about 30 to an hour ready. Now, potatoes, when they're hot, they're soft, like this, but you want a contents, a texture to it. My thing is put it in a bowl, stick it in the refrigerator, let it cool down so you can work it, okay? So right now, before I put my glove on to connect it with these ingredients I have here, my eggs. So where did I put that little knife?
We had it a
Did we
moment
lose
ago. It went into the kitchen. Well,
You know what we can do? Guess what? Let's say and I'm seriously, I do this.
We're improvising.
Knife. We got knife, fork. I love forks because you can just mash it, because you just want this actually to be dice.
Amazing.
Never say never.
Never say never.
There we go. Same texture. I just mash it.
We're
And-
learning that the fork is the universal tool in Chef Sallie Ann's kitchen. Deveining
Yes.
shrimp, smashing.
Remember, we live on an island with
That's
no
right.
store.
That's right.
So, making do with what you have is what we did. Now you have your shrimp and your potato, and you can add more eggs. I'm an egg person. It depends on some of what I'm using. So, here, I'm just going to tidy up. I have a habit of tidying up as I go because I don't like a mess. And my mom always made sure, clean up as you go. So that's why you'll see. And it makes things so much easier and less clutter to clean up as you go. Okay, Mr. Fort. So what I'm going to do, because I'm going to toss this, I am going to,
I have another one.
okay,
There you go.
I'm going to, excuse me, let me get this in. There we go. It's me, you guys.
You know, sometimes kitchen mistakes happen. What did Julia Child say? You just keep going, right?
Yes, you do. You just keep going. You don't give up. You don't give in.
right.
You make it.
There we go. Let's work. There you go.
So, and it's okay if it's not
Perfect.
perfect. Sometimes that's when it's the best. It's little mistakes you make. Okay. So, with the eggs and the shrimp, they are all waiting for this to come together. For me, what I will do is you don't have to add salt if you feel your potato is enough. Some people like a little more high seasoning, some don't. So I'm only going to put a pinch because I already know I had this really seasoned well. If you want more pepper for a little kick, a little more kick, that's why you're doing the pepper. Garlic is just one of my favorite because it runs off the vampire and everything else. Add your garlic. You can add more garlic. Paprika has add color as well as flavor. So another reason why I won't put a lot of salt in there, paprika actually give you that salt contents in here, but it gives you that color. So how much do you want? My preference is try a little, add more. You might like more versus little. You might like little versus more. Now I'm going to toss this.
Got it going. And the shrimp that are in this bowl here are the ones that you flew on the plane with from Dofusky. So there's a difference between the shrimp we have here from the local supermarket and these very special shrimp.
These are Lowcountry, South Carolina shrimp that you have. So I'm just going to add some more paprika because I want a little more color. And that's the preference you can do, is that color. Okay? Here is a little shrimp thing there. And here I am just tossing it. Tossing, not stirring. The reason is because I want everything to be in, you know, its size and flavor. So once I've added that, guys, now I'm going to add these ingredients, vegetables. Then I'm going to take a little of this. Again, how much do you want? It's up to you. Don't have to be a exact measurement of each.
It's beautiful. I love the color combination too. It's stunning. And so when you would make this dish, or when your mother would make this dish, were there certain kind of family holidays that you served it at?
Excuse me,
or
pepper.
was this a every day of the week kind of dish? When did you actually eat this growing
This
up?
was mainly Sundays But let's say we caught some shrimp and we say, Mom, can you please make some of this for us? As long as we did the prepping or help with it, she didn't mind making it. So that's how it came. So we would eat this sometime through the week. It's not a particular day you have to make this. When your belly is yearning for it, that's when you make it. Okay? Yes. So here, now, rather, I have enough. So what I'm going to do, many of you, if you're from up here, up north, may not have heard of sweet salad cube. You
How many
know-
have heard of Sweet Cube?
Yeah.
Okay. We got about 6 people in the audience who've heard
Yes.
of it. Okay.
It is, for me, coming from the South, the perfect ingredients to add to salad. Some people use relish. These are chunkier than relish. And what I'm going to do is, I don't want my salad wet. I want to drain some or not add all this liquid in there. And another question, how much you want in there? Okay, I'm gonna just add another little bit. Oh, because I love it. So that is made by Mont Olive, you guys. So what I'm going to do is take this spoon, toss. Everything is happy. Everything is saying, yeah. Yes. Now, and last but not least, I'm a Hellman girl. Yes, I am South Carolina, but I grew up on this. One of the preference is when you grow up on something, other things really doesn't meet the level of it. So I grew up with Hellman, I grew up with Blue Plate. Duke was not a mayonnaise for us. So my palate, my taste, everything I've grown up with comes through this if it's a salad and being used. So my thing is, whatever makes it happy for you and your preference, use it. It don't have to be, but it does make a difference when you're used to something. So here, and I said I don't like wet salad, so I'm not gonna add a lot to make this, but enough to combine it. That's the issue I have. So right now, and because I can pretty much measure what I need, here we go.
And if you are a person who likes to do things with a little more measurement versus eyeing it, we do have on the QR codes that we've passed out direct links to our Cooking Up History website. We have program descriptions there, and with every program description, we also have a PDF of the recipe that we're making here on stage.
Awesome.
So you will have access to, how much pepper do you actually add? How much sweet cube do you actually add? That is available on our website. And we actually
Awesome.
also have printouts of the recipe also available. So after the program, if you're interested in taking that home with you, just get in touch with one of our staff members or me. We'll get you that one sheet and you can give a try at home.
Yes. Now, for me, like I said, you can add a little bit more, but I like the flavor of the shrimp and the potatoes and the peppers and the celery and the garlic to all come through. When you overdo it with too much mayonnaise, it covers it up to me. Okay? So you want enough to combine it. It don't have to be, and as you can see, that's really,
It's
see that texture
beautiful.
there?
Yes, I see it.
Yes, so it's not over thick with the mayonnaise. So what we're gonna do is bring this over to here. And I should just put this here instead of the stove. It's not really. Okay, put this here.
I got it, yeah.
Yes. So I'm gonna use this to scoop out. Wow. I'm hungry. This.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Sallie Ann.
A
That is
meat
just
and
stunning.
potato salad, as I've said, that would truly just makes you just yearn for more. Because when I was growing up, we used to have to wait till Pop get home to eat. But being who I am, I used to go outside and sing for my supper. Seriously. My mom would say, oh, Lord, I guess I got to feed my child because she's singing, she hungry. We got to eat a little early before Pop got home because sometimes he might stay a little longer, you know. And for us, we'd work all day. We were up waiting for supper, and the aroma of the food just made you want it more. So the bottom line was, okay, Pop might get home dark and certain time. Look at that.
That is so stunning. I think we
Yes.
need a round of applause.
Awesome.
And I will take that away.
Yes. Yes.
So, Sallie Ann, you said that this dish can be something you enjoy just as is.
Just
It
as
is a
is.
complete meal right
Yes.
here. We're going to dress it with some beautiful parsley.
Yes, we're just going to add a little beauty to it. And parsley, you know, is so good to have with some of your meal. Shrimp, fish, crab. And I'm just adding just a little color
Gorgeous.
to it. And taking a piece and put it on top.
There we go.
And you can also sprinkle
Just
a little bit
around.
around, giving it a little more
Oh,
color.
I can see that on your home table right now with a big family gathering, friends and family. It's so gorgeous. And so you can have the salad as is,
Yes.
but you can also serve it with other things.
You can serve it with meat. And we have today to share a certain meat.
We do.
And this young lady gonna pull it out. We did this earlier. Some people say, well, the shrimp and potato salad was good, but I need a little more. Okay. So earlier,
Ooh, these smell so good.
how many have had fried ribs? Aha. So fried ribs, also one of my favorite. So you can have fried ribs. Can I get a plate to serve? Do a little serving
Absolutely.
here. Fried ribs, and I'm sorry if you don't like pork, okay? Because I know we have folks that don't, and I get it. I truly understand it. So what I would like to do is kind of... Do you want to have a picture before I dive into it? You're welcome. So, I mean, it's, take a little bit of this. And more or less, it's up to you. Like I say, this is a salad you can truly eat because it has meat and potato. And, oh my gosh, it's like, it's throwdown time, okay? However much, but then you have meat, potato, all that flavor from the ocean, from the soil, from the love you add to it, and that is so important. Your vegetables, the things that you grew, or the things that was grown in the from the garden, and it's a combination of just delicious.
Oh, so
Totally
amazing.
delicious. Yes.
That is fantastic.
Yes.
It looks so good. And
Yes.
I love how you brought it back to the sea and the land, back to Dofusky. And so I wanted to take a moment to ask a few questions myself about how Dofusky has changed over time. So you've spent a long time on this island. And so when you're thinking about Dofusky as a little girl to Dofusky today, what are some of the changes that you've witnessed in the surroundings? Like, how has the island in its environment different today than when you were a little girl?
More people, more houses. I love folks coming and going. But the island was our playground as far as the woods. It was very forest. So we used to go and adventure all through the woods, even if we were hunting, or we used to go in the woods to get our wood, because I grew up cooking on a wood stove. For us, it meant that it was as if you were doing your thing, but we did it our way, and we never missed what we never had. Never missing what you didn't have meant that you work with what you got. So these items that I'm sharing here is just through the love we had to give to it. And
I love that. And so you mentioned when you were a little girl, and Sallie Ann and I had a chance to talk a lot yesterday, and we had lots of conversations. You mentioned that even like the wildlife is different from when you were a little girl. You were mentioning how rabbits like are nowhere to be found, or they're not.
Very few.
Yeah, so what went on there? Why are there fewer rabbits?
When you have more people come in, because we used to not tolerate the bugs, we just had our method how we accept them. Today, some years ago, they start spraying the bug spray. Well, the bug spray don't just get rid of the bugs. It get rid of a lot of the other things, butterflies, bees, or it lowers them to where you don't have as much. I remember when butterflies used to be all beautiful over there. We used to have lightning bugs. We don't have any anymore. These sprays does have an effect on them, and we don't realize it until they're gone. And that's not just on the island, that's other places, other things happening. So we actually, we just have to day by day just do what we have to. But the rabbits, we used to catch rabbits. We still have squirrels. We even have a surprise of armadillos there that we didn't have before. We have alligators. We didn't have them like we do now because they weren't ponds there dug for the golf courses that actually hibernates them. So we don't go through the wood. I don't go through the woods anymore like that because gators are now plentiful there more than what it used to be. And as I said, the woods was our playground. My grandmother used to have a saying, because even though we have things in the woods, you want to be careful. Like, I call them crawlies. Y'all know what this is, snakes. Okay. My grandmother said, God, look out for fools and children. Because that's what we did. We didn't go out there looking for things. We went out there to have fun. And that was it being adventurous. We didn't have toys and different stuff to keep us in a little area to where it was, oh, go over there and play. It was the open field of everything, the soil, the ground, the trees. I used to love to climb trees. Kids are not as adventurous as we were, which was so good for us to learn about a lot of the things that is now being depleted, like the trees, the areas. Those were things we actually used to put into our day-to-day adventure. It wasn't, we didn't grow up with air-conditioned heating in the house. Under the oak tree, mulberry tree, whatever big tree that was out there that had shade, my mom said, get outside, go find something to do, and you better move. That was just it. It was no, I don't want to do that. Guess what? If you don't, I got something for you. Always work to do. So they always had something for us to do, which made us aware that we took playtime serious when we got it.
Yeah, right. And you mentioned several times the woods, the trees. It was your playground, but they also play a very important role in the resilience of a barrier island like Dofusky. So when you were growing up and a hurricane came to town, how was your reaction different then because of the trees versus now, today?
Well, back then this island was secluded with, trees from one end to the other. With the moving in of folks coming and going, they have to clear spots so that they can build a house or have room to move around in. Back then, the trees is also a protector for hurricanes, bad weather. I mean, you don't want trees falling on your house, because people would also make sure that around their house were clear. Only trees mainly was around were pecan trees, walnut trees, plum trees, fig trees, stuff that we ate from. The woods was cut back so that those won't be on the house to fall, wouldn't fall on the house. So today, when a hurricane is headed that way, I pack my bags. See ya, don't want to be ya. Purposely, mentally, for me, I can't drink all that water. And you never know what hurricane's going to do. At least I don't try to figure it out. All I know, if it's coming that way, I'm heading out. My saying is, I don't want to be the story. I want to tell the story. So I do the safe thing for me. Because a lot of folks do stay during the hurricane season. They say, oh, it's not going to be that bad. I'm not second guessing that water out there. So I always say, pick your battle and do what makes you feel better. Yes.
And so hurricanes and other processes can actually kind of impact the shoreline.
Yes.
And Daufuskie is actually seen quite
A
a
lot.
lot of shrinkage. So how many
Yeah.
miles was Daufuskie, and how many miles now is Daufuskie with this kind of erosion of the land?
And that comes from nature. When I was growing up, I was told the island was 7 mile long, 5 mile wide. Today, it is said that the measurement is 5 mile long, 2.5 wide. These things happen unbeknown to you, because it's the edges of the island that gets depreciated. And as Gullah folks, we live in the middle of the island. And the reason we did that was for planting, our gardening and stuff. We went to the ocean for what we need from it. We stayed in for planting. So living near the water, I know a lot of people love the water, but we used to go to the water. We always felt that it's easier to go than to be a part of it.
It's so interesting how Daufuskie, that the community, the Gullah community in particular, is living inland. Because I was
Yes.
reading and doing some research of other Gullah chefs throughout the Lowcountry. You know, this is North Carolina all the way down through Florida. And there are some communities who live on the shoreline,
Yes.
who are farming on the shoreline, and who are experiencing saltwater flooding of their farms. And so
Yes.
the crops that they're growing are dying out, an entire season of crops, because of saltwater flooding. But
Yes.
there's some innovation happening
are.
to address that. So you have farmers like Roland Chalmers, who's trying to grow ancestral rice varietals. This is
Yes.
going back to West African culinary traditions, and he's trying to raise rice that is saltwater resistant, or that it
Yes.
actually in fact grows better in saltier soils as a way to combat these changes in the climate. And you actually,
Yes.
you know Roland, you've actually
do.
chatted with him.
do.
And it's related to your family property,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
We're talking about once I move from where I am right now. I'm maintaining a family member house, and I'm going to move with my family, my grandparents, and property. And I was talking to him about helping me do a little rice garden. I'm going to use the word garden because it's not going to be a field. There's a difference. A field is huge and a garden is like this. When I grew up, we had fields. Can I say this?
Yes.
When we had fields, one of the things we had on the island and still do is deer. Deer love everything you liked, just about. So we did not have fencing because families didn't have money to buy all this fencing to keep the deer out. We had dogs. One dog will keep all the deer you want away from your field. Deer do not like dogs. So at night when we hear one barking, we knew they were watching the garden, the field. They would run them off. And we had cats to keep snakes and rats and stuff out of the yard. Now mind you, we live in the woods where out there's rodents, the deer and all that stuff out there. And they want to creep up and come and join you and like, oh, no, you got a limit. So our cats, we had outside cats. Not a whole bunch. Takes one, and you can have more. But they were the things that kept our yard clear from the snakes and the rat, the dog from the deer, and everybody was happy. Yes.
there's all this kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, but almost like an ecosystem that you built
did.
yourself within these farming and growing
Yes.
communities. And I think that's
Yes.
really speaks to the harmoniousness of these systems
Yes.
that Gullah communities have built over time.
Yes.
So it's time for audience questions, and I just want to remind the audience to please wait for our microphone so that our online visitors who are joining us from the internet can hear your question as well. So if you have a question for guest chef Sallie Ann, please raise your hand and look out for one of our staff members. So feel free to start doing that
And
now. I
don't
see
be
one over
shy.
here. James has got the microphone there. Thank you, James. It's on, James. Good to go.
Hi, thank you for that demonstration. That was really cool. Question for you, since probably a lot of us, at least myself, I'm not catching shrimp or growing a lot of things except on my little patio. And I think a lot of America's worried about the additives in food that you don't know where it's coming from because you didn't plant the potato and grow it or catch the shrimp. So, question for both of you, like, what do we do about that? Like, how can we push back on these ingredients that are outlawed in other countries, but kind of in our food that we don't know about here?
For me, I always say less is best. Sometimes we just overcrowd our food with things that don't have to have. Right now, we're having people that's going out. The reason we have such a shortage of stuff, not only because people are not able to grow it, but it's harder to grow things now than it used to be. You don't have a bunch of children help keeping that farm going either. Also, with seasoning, use what works, not what you're trying to discover. That's how I really feel about it. People say, oh, I got to have this spice in there. We grew up with the simple, basic stuff. Simple, keep it real.
I mean, I think informing ourselves as consumers is key. Oftentimes at local grocers, or if you're going to like the historic fish market here in Washington, D.C., you have a chance to talk to your purveyors and you can ask questions.
Yes.
Where are they sourcing these products from? Is it locally sourced? What additives are being used? And hopefully they can provide the information to you that you can make an informed decision. But my family for a long time owned and operated a gourmet grocery food store, several actually, in Pennsylvania, and we welcomed questions from our customers. We learned from them. We learned about their needs. And if there was a product we couldn't provide at that moment, we brought it in if they wanted an alternative, because ultimately, these businesses are here to serve their customers. So I'd say strike up a conversation.
Ask questions.
Ask questions.
Ask questions. A lot of time, you walk in a place and because you don't see it doesn't mean they don't have it or can't get it. Ask questions. The farmers markets are actually popping up more to be, to help be more organic. Trust me, when I heard the word organic, I thought it was a new word. I really did. I'm like, what are they trying to say? Then I found out when they were talking, because I'm paying attention. I'm like, oh, they could have come and asked me that. But that's because I grew up in that area, doesn't mean that everybody does. So if you really like fresh versus just what you buy in the store, but first and foremost, if you do find something, please read your label. What it's labeled as doesn't mean that it is exactly. We have product that is named maybe after the place, but it's actually being packaged and grown someplace else. Your label today, because it is known to have where you need to know it comes from. I will read a label in a minute because I know they're not from the ocean, but they do have wild shrimp versus shrimp from across the way. And it's your preference because some people grew up with that. So for me, I just seek what I know I grew up with and I know where to find it. But asking questions in your local grocery stores, go to the farmer's market. Trust me, they probably not that far from where you are. It's just knowing that it's around and available.
Yeah, I think too, when I was doing research in the Lowcountry, there are cooperatives of growers, of Gullah growers, who are looking for outlets for their produce that they're growing. These are farmers who want to get their product out into the community. So it's just a matter, the burden is on the consumer to do that research, but there are options.
They are.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we have time for one more question from the audience before I start wrapping things up and also introduce you to my colleague, Tony Perry, but more on that in a moment. All right, James.
Could you tell us about the fried ribs?
Yes, I can. As a child growing up, we raised pig and hogs. I gotta tell you, we used to raise hogs so big that we used to ride them. After our parents left the house to go do something else, we would go in the pig pen and gallop on the pig. It was so much fun. But fried ribs, a lot of people say, can you fry ribs? Honey, you can fry anything. I believe if you can fry Oreo, you can fry anything, okay? So what you would do, the rib itself, because when my mom, we had hog killing time, which is doing after the first couple of cold. We do not kill hogs in the summertime. We kill them in the wintertime because of the flies. So in the wintertime, flies aren't around. So that was a good time to actually get meat and kill them, process them. And to fry the ribs, I'll give you the easy method. You know how to fry chicken? The same seasoning you can add to ribs. And what I do is get a rack of baby back because it has more meat, but you can get the country ribs too. Cut them in strip. I always cut them in the middle so you have meat on both sides of the bones. You don't want to cut it close to just have one side. So that's why when I cut the ribs, I cut them in the middle so that both sides will have meat on them. Season them. You can season them the day before, put in the refrigerator. Tomorrow, take it out. Sit it out for a little bit because it's cold, and then you can add all-purpose flour or self-rising flour. Either one works, actually. Fry it just as if you would chicken, and you'll have fried ribs. The easy way of explaining that.
I like that answer. Thank you so much, Chef Sallie Ann. So I'm going to start wrapping things up here, but I do want to note that my colleague, Dr. Tony Perry, is going to come up on stage for a few minutes after I finish these housekeeping remarks. And we're going to hear a little bit more from him about an upcoming exhibition on the Lowcountry that's actually going to be opening here in our museum in the summer of 2025. So please stick around in a few moments to hear a little bit more about his research, his fieldwork, and the intersection of culture, community, the environment, and the essential role that the Gullah Geechee community plays in this ecosystem.
Yes.
Other thoughts?
I just want to say, keep it simple. Don't stress out trying to make it like everybody else does, because we all have our method of doing things. Keep it simple. Add more if you like more. But I'm a person that tastes as I go, making sure it fits my palate, and that way I'm happy with the turnout.
Amazing.
Thank you.
The kitchen wisdom. Kitchen wisdom. Tony, welcome to the stage. Your mic is on. And so can you tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing, the field work, and how it ties into the environment, into climate change? What can we look forward to learning in 2025?
Yes, absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tony Perry. I am curator of environmental history here at the museum. And myself, as well as a colleague of mine, Faith Davis Ruffins, we are co-curating an exhibition that is scheduled to open, as Ashley mentioned, in summer 2025 on Gullah Geechee history and culture that will focus on environmental heritage in particular. Very few people know that the Smithsonian, across multiple units, has an enormous collection of materials and objects related to Gullah Geechee lifeways. And so one of the purposes of this exhibition is to share a portion of these collections with the public as well as with community members.
Yes.
We are currently in the midst of doing deep community consultation, because one of the things we really want to emphasize in the exhibition are community members' voices. So rather than the museum speaking for and about Gullah Geechee history and culture, we're looking to community members to really emphasize and amplify the voices, the perspectives, the knowledge that's deeply rooted in the region. This region that spans from about southern North Carolina to northern Florida, because so much of this dynamic cultural heritage is still alive and has great vitality today. One of the things we're going to emphasize in the exhibition will be foodways. And as you could see here today with Chef Robinson, thank you again for joining us. There is a lot of knowledge that comes from whether it's procuring food, growing it, hunting, fishing, to preparing it, to the kind of experiences you have in terms of family and kinship networks consuming it. And so a lot of the knowledge that comes out of this, we want to certainly emphasize and foreground in the space, and to highlight the extent to which many of these communities in the region for generations have been developing and refining and sharing and testing and applying knowledges that are deeply reflective of a long-standing relationship to the environment, the landscape, waterways, the spiritual environment. And so we're really excited to be working on this, to be collaborating with the food history team, to be thinking about kinds of programming that look like this, as well as, other forms. So summer 2025, just to kind of plug this exhibition, it'll be right above pretty much where we are right now in the Taubman Gallery. And we're very excited. I'll be around afterwards if anyone wants to chat about that and hear more. But thank you certainly for your time.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Yes.
And thank you so much for your support in helping us invite our guest chef here
Yes,
today,
thank you.
Sallie Ann. We couldn't have done it without you and Faith,
Appreciate
and we're
it.
so grateful for your support and cannot wait for the exhibition and more collaborations here on the cooking demo stage. So I'm finally going to wrap everything up. Tony, if you'd like to exit stage left, you can, or you can hang out here. So I just want to remind everyone there will be a book signing with our wonderful guest chef just to your left, behind you there, where we'll be selling copies of the cookbook, and also you'll get a chance to meet Sallie Ann and have a conversation with her. Yay! If you're hungry, again, our cafe downstairs is serving this wonderful food that we've made up here today, as well as ones we're featuring on our cooking demo stage tomorrow, so feel free to head down to the cafe for that. And if you'd like to check out the recipes again, we do have copies of them available that are printed out or through your QR code. And last but not least, I would like to mention that we have another program happening at 3:30 p.m. right here on the Coulter Plaza, featuring an amazing team from World Central Kitchen who's going to be speaking about their work in response to global crises and the increasing number of climate crises that are happening across the globe right now.
Yes.
So please come back to the Culture stage after the book signing, and we'll be kicking off very shortly with that. One more round of applause for our guest chef.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Fantastic.